What's up, gang? How's it going? How's everyone this evening? Oh, there's a few people in chat there. Danny Longlegs. Iowalks, how are you? Sue, Lucy, how are you, Lucy? And Tracy, and to all those lurking so far, how you doing? This is going to be open like usual. No scheduled shows until September, so this is an open show, and pretty much about whatever we want to talk about. Cheers. It's been a long day. It's been a quite a long day. Um, so I'm exhausted. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just figured, hey, relax a little bit. Come on here and see what everyone's up to and chill and chat, I guess, if you will. I will put the link out if anybody wants to join. By all means, you're more than welcome to join. And here, I'll put the link out there. And chat. And there we go. Pin to the top. Pin it to the top. And there we go. Pin to the top. So if anybody wants to join, by all means, do so. Dandy Longlegs. It's funny. You brought a good point up there. How often do you see a Dandy Longlegs anymore? Spider. To be honest, I have not seen one in a long time. A long time. If anything, I see the normal house spider. Um, Probably the most. And then obviously when you're out and about, those more exotic spiders, if you will, for this area. But dandy longlegs, no. I can't remember the last time I actually seen a spider, dandy longleg spider. It's been a long time. Weird. It's just one of those weird little tidbits that I think we all overlook. Or do we? Are you the type of person who analyzes everything, even if it's the smallest little thing? Um, I'm kind of like that, I guess. You know, I kind of bring things to consciousness that most people would go, "Are you fucking crazy? What made you think of that? What made you say that?" And it's just that my mind is constantly analyzing things. Um, when I'm out and about, I'm super observant. At least I think I am. I like to think I am about my surroundings, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, most people walk around in a daydream. And no, I'm not getting into the wake bullshit. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm woke. I'm awake. I think I've always been awake. I've always been observant. I've always, observed outside the normal things that people would just shrug the shoulders at and say, "What made you even think of that? What made you even observe that?" But that's the thing. You need more people. And you know what? There are more people out there. I mean, there is a lot of people out there. We get Danny Longlegs here around September in the UK, around mushroom season. LOL. Yeah, I see. I don't know much about dandy longlegs. I'm not an expert, but hey, maybe that's it could be like that here. I don't know. I mean, do we have similar environments? Maybe close. I think you guys are more like the the west coast of Canada. More like Vancouver, more like BC, more rainy, more wet. And you do get snow, but not a lot. Unlike here, we get shitloads of snow. I shouldn't say we get shitloads. I mean, we did get dumped on near the end of winter quite a bit, which is quite unusual. Usually, it's for a couple months, and then it just stops. But this year, we just got like small little, not even storms, and then all of a sudden, within like 2 or 3 weeks of the end of winter, we we got bombarded with snow, a lot of snow. But I mean, it's not nearly as much as our neighbors to the south get. Buffalo, New York, um, is it's below Lake Ontario, below Lake Erie, and it gets pounded every year. It gets so much snow. In fact, they had a really bad storm this past winter that I think they received about 70. I think they were saying when it was all done and finished, about 70 centimeters of snow in one storm. 70 centimeters of snow. It's a fucking lot. And that's just in one sitting, man. That's over just a course of several hours. They were just dumped on. I mean, we got a lot of snow that day too, but maybe half of what they received. But they're immobilized. People died in their cars because they couldn't get out. They were trapped in their cars. And you sit there and go, how the hell you get trapped in your car? Hey, Cal, how are you? How do you get trapped in your car? But you know what? People get trapped in their car to stay in and stay warm. Not to say it was like freezing. It was like just below, 20 or 30 below or whatever. But what I don't believe it was very, very cold that day. I don't believe it was. I think it was probably about maybe -10, something like that. But to some people, -10 is cold. But anyhow, they were finding people days later trapped in the car, dead. Dead. Not a lot, but some. So imagine being stuck in 70 centimeters of snow. And here I'm talking about it in the what's today? Today's the 16th. The official the first day of summer is the 21st of June. And here I'm talking about a snowstorm we had. No, well, we did have, but not as extreme as Buffalo. 70 centimeters. How did we veer off? Why are we talking about this? Uh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that is weird. I saw a Danny Longleg, and I called my father, and he said he dreamt of one. Interesting. Sounds like lyrics to a song. But I'm kind of drinking something that pays homage to all the hype that's going on in Las Vegas there with their visitation, if you will, whether it's real or not. But I thought I'd crack one open and enjoy it with you guys. Can you read that? You can't read that. It's all blurry, man. Can you read that? Interdimensional invaders. Yeah, thought it was the perfect brew to share with you guys. Anyways, um, Friday night here. It is Saturday morning in the UK. It's 9:57. Scary beer. Well, I don't know. Does it look scary? Hey, no, it doesn't have shrooms in it. Can't say that I do. It does, but it's got a neat candle. Look at that candle, eh? Isn't that cool? That's their label, Noble Savage, out of Brooklyn, well, New York, somewhere in New York City, Glen Cove, New York, which is, I believe, just north of Manhattan. I could be wrong. I'm not versed on smaller areas of New York, but I believe it's just northeast of Manhattan. So I don't know. Should I look it up? No, I'll just go with my instinct on it. So no, dandy long legs. It doesn't have shrooms in it. And just imagine me tripping on shrooms here with you guys right now. What a trip that would be. Um, I did enjoy uh, shrooms earlier on in life. I didn't. I would never take them indoors though. I'd have to be outdoors because the trip at times would be insane, and it would always have like the always the same sort of launch, if you will. You know, it was the same sort of launch, and then there was one time I think that really ended it for me. I said this was the last time I was going to take them. Was the launch was extremely different. You know, the launch was not really a launch. You know, when you're not going into this trip, you're going into this uh, quadrant of paranoia because you think something's wrong. So paranoia sets in, and your trip is like, fuck, he's spoiling the trip. And anxiety kicked in and said, nope, you're not tripping today. You can trip, but you're not going to trip upwards. You're going to be tripping downwards, and that's what happened. It was an interesting evening, that's for sure. Let's just say I had a lot of energy, and I felt like I had to run, and when the opportunity came to run, I just didn't want to run because it was just too much work. So I walked it off. It took me about a half an hour, but I walked off the experience. Actually, it was longer than a half hour, but it felt like a half hour because your conception of time distorts obviously when you start tripping, and what feels like a half an hour is more like 4 hours. uh, it didn't quite it didn't take quite that long, but still, it was an interesting journey, and kind of straightened me out, I guess, and said, no more of that. I don't need to take that shit anymore. But I did enjoy shrooms. Some BC shrooms at the time were the bomb, if you will. They were the best. Some of the best shrooms available on the market at the time. And yeah, same with pot. Marijuana was, wow, intense, intense. Uh, Absolutely. Come on in, Iowaks. Come on in. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Click the tab. Would love to hear from you. I was poisoned once, never again. Interesting. Never had shrooms. I was poisoned. Yeah, well, I mean, well, when you technically, shrooms are poison, and the body reacts to it, obviously. But you were poisoned. So interesting. How, like, poisoned from what? It wasn't from shrooms. But yeah, click the link if you want to come up. By all means, you're more than welcome to come on up. Anyone else? Absolutely. I don't know how long I'm going to go for. Like I said, I'm pretty exhausted, but I'll try to go as long as I can. Anyways, uh, it's been a long day, and tomorrow's going to be even longer. You know what I mean? Even longer. Hey, man, how are you? How you
Whoa.
doing?
Yo.
Yo, yo, yo. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a weird feedback.
Weird feedback.
All right, there it goes. There it goes.
Awesome. How you doing?
Oh, it's repeating. Oh, it's repeating. Maybe that would work.
Barely hear you.
Barely. Is
Oh,
that better?
that's a lot better. Yes.
Okay.
How you doing?
Dang, I had to exit, man. It didn't work.
What didn't work?
It's like blank.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
you keep cutting out. I don't know, something's happening. You keep cutting out. Oh, we lost him. Hopefully, okay, he'll come back. Yeah. So yeah, I um, I had, yeah, been took shrooms a few times. You know, over the course of life, in my earlier years, I guess, if you will. And yeah, I mean that's it. I did it, done it. Don't need to do it anymore. I kept things natural. Hey Lee, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And I always kept it natural. I didn't really venture into chemicals. I wasn't into that shit. Didn't need it. I think we're fed enough chemicals as it is. Um, through the environment, through our medications, and everywhere else. So I mean, why introduce more into my system than there needs to be, right? So I just felt that, if I was going to do this kind of shit, not that I had to, but mostly recreational. Obviously, I wasn't addicted or anything like that. Um, I knew when to stop. I knew, and it's like that with all facets of things, like alcohol and shit like that. Yeah, sure I'm on here constantly with a beer, but I mean, I might have one beer. I mean, I know there's been a few times you've caught me. I've been feeling pretty damn good, and hey, we're, we've seen that a few times.
Yo,
Hey, how's it going, man?
I had to get it on the phone. I
Yeah.
don't know what was going on. It was like relaying
Oh,
the.
really?
It was like a 15-second delay, and then it would start playing back what we were saying again. So
Oh,
like,
wow,
yeah, it was weird.
that is weird.
And that would have been nice though on that microphone and everything.
Yeah, you'll
But
work it out. You'll work it out.
yeah. So I wanted to tell you, you were talking about the time slice thingy. So I want to
Yeah,
tell you, I told you about the bottle, and that was, I think, the only thing I've ever called in about, right?
yeah. That
Or
bottle's
not
all.
called
I
in, or
still, I still
came
love
in.
that bottle, man. That bottle's cool.
So the main thing. that I had that got me into all these panels was my experience with like I'd say it was like a seizure kind of.
Okay. A
So like
seizure. Okay, cool.
it was kind of like intense,
Yeah.
and it was like everything in a minute, like, or
Hmm.
2 minutes. Like it felt like a lot of things happened in my mind. Like I went into like everything turned to water. Like before my eyes closed, I saw everything change, and then I saw dark sliver. I call like a silky sliver,
Yeah.
and this thing, man. Like when I went into it, like I gained massive speed going through it.
Speed.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
as
okay.
okay, so as you're going through it, it's like you're gravitating into it, and then you're in it. You're just gaining more and more speed, momentum
Hmm.
as you're hearing feedback again.
Oh wow.
Uh, you're just gaining speed until it's just until like what you see is also like the speed is uncomprehendable, and what you're seeing is morphing with the speed.
Oh
So
wow.
like it
Okay.
starts off as like everything's like reality, and then it starts to liquefy, and you start to see the colors and like the geometry and everything weird. Like every you can recognize shapes, you can recognize feeling of like you can recognize things. Like it's more like grid, like a grid. And then it gets like blurry. It's almost like a starry night. You know, you're in a starry night universe, kind of smeared. And then you hit like this wah, which is like energy, but like when I was looking at the energy from the other side of the silk, where like I was no longer in the hallway of the silk, I was in it and looking back at what I was just in. Like,
Wow.
it was like I was seeing it alive,
Hmm.
and it was no longer just a wah, it was like a moving thing. And like it reached at me when I was like going further away, and then it like went into me, like, and then like I heard uh like this is pretty descriptive, but like
Well, yeah.
I heard like this thing, like it said like believe. It was like real, like when I woke up, like I felt like I had something, like it like left something. But like what it morphed into was not pretty. It was like on fire. It was like people were inside of it screaming, and it was like it didn't morph into that, but like hands were reaching out of it, and like I can sense that it was burning. It was like I was inside of like a war, and like that's it all happened in like a minute. All this
Hmm.
stuff happened in a minute, so I call it the flash,
The
because
Flash.
like it's like an edit.
So,
Like
so what kind of meaning do you think did it give you some sort of meaning that, like, I mean, well, why do you think you were seeing these in terms of being, in the state you were in? But I mean, why these images and why not something else?
I think it was the design of my brain.
Okay, so your brain is driving this and showing you this stuff. So what, a collective sort of a collective assortment of maybe things that you've experienced in life and shortened and like quick sort of
I
edit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's more complex than that, though. I
yeah,
think it's could be a shared thing.
yeah.
Like other people would have the same kind of grids,
Hmm.
and like I do think that when you get to that, uh, I'm not, I don't know how to put it. Like once you entertain it after the fact, and you start to exercise your ability to, let's say, like artists will write down what they dream,
Hmm. Yeah.
or not, they'll draw it, but
Draw,
once you
right? Yeah.
manipulate it, I notice negative forces. Like
What, when
I
you do
noticed
that? When you
I
interpret it?
when I was interpreting it negatively, I was saying like if there is something higher than me, like a higher power that threatened me, because I felt like it was a threat when I
Hmm.
got there.
Hmm.
then I'll take anything down, you know? I'm not scared of anything. And like in my brain clicked as a combative force, maybe against myself, and like it sparked a lot of problems. I would say it complexed my mind a little bit, but it
But I mean,
also,
what's wrong with that though? I mean, I don't see a problem with it complexing your mind, because I mean it's opening your mind, right? It's
yeah,
expanding your reasoning. It's expanding your not necessarily knowledge, but giving you like a stepping stone and learning these aspects that you had no idea about before.
right.
Yeah.
It's could be it could it's weird. I believed at one point that people were just channels of that, what
Hmm.
I was looking at. Like
Yeah.
nobody was actually a person. Like I saw, and like I was so deep into it mentally. Like I'm not talking about just thinking. Like they were that to me for a little bit, you know, and like that's how deep I got like out of reality and stuff. And like once you get into those states, you realize it works just the same. Reality can work just the same. You're just running on a higher frequency that doesn't make sense to people, and you're jabbering. I mean, I made two businesses
Hmm.
that people didn't understand what I was doing until I manifested them.
Hmm.
Before I had to get like kind of like slowed down a little bit because it was like eating my brain, I guess, like the energy.
Well, I mean, you mentioned higher frequencies, and I mean, we have to understand. I mean, we all have our own frequencies. I mean, our body runs and interacts with frequencies every day, and most people will go, "What? What are you talking about?" But when you're saying that, like, I mean, your sort of experience, like, how long was this experience for, roughly?
I think it was just a minute or
Really,
two. Yeah.
all that information in just a minute?
That's why I call it the
Wow,
flash. And there's more
wow,
because the more I dig, I can't
yeah.
understand like the beginning, let alone the the I call like the point,
Hmm.
because that's where it like kind of ended the speed, and I kind of like came to like a home.
Okay.
So like when I was at like a comfortable state, that was the whole thing that was kind of dragging me. The message that I got, words, and I was translating that. But before that was just so much. It was almost like everything. I call it seeing everything, seeing something, and then seeing nothing
Wow.
all at once.
So how did things change for you after having that experience?
I mean, I went to I came to the term I was going to spread what happened to me around, like, and I thought something bad was going to happen to me somehow.
Hmm.
Like if I came too detailed about it or I manipulated it. And then I realized, you know, kind of like I'm uneducated on it, need to kind of listen around.
Hmm.
But I mean, I got so bad of energy going because of the situations I was in and the
Hmm.
people I was surrounding with, and like
Yeah.
that put me into places where I would say I really met some entities and stuff. Like I guarantee I did meet at least part of me that I wouldn't want anyone to realize, you know, because it's almost it's like when you look at a like uh, it's kind of fucked up, dude.
Well, I mean, it's definitely pretty it's pretty detailed. I mean, that
But like
not
the after effect of it was kind of messed up.
yeah.
Like literally, I could trip my mind
Hmm.
to these states where like I could see like hyper fast and stuff. Like I was processing differently,
Hmm.
and like nobody was a person. They were just talking to me. It was-
So what about now when you're talking with people, when you're conversing with people on a regular basis? Do
Like
you do
I
you
see synchronicities and stuff, but like I'm like my own person now, you know. Like I feel like an individual, you know.
But I mean, are you the one? Are you the type of person that thinks when you're having a conversation with another person, the you're thinking more behind the scenes of that conversation, whereas like your interaction with that person is not just your speech and the back and forth banter, but you guys, the frequencies and the sort of the outcome and
It was
what changes during that interaction, and stuff like that. I
it
mean,
just
do you think?
connects in your brain
Yeah.
differently. It was for what you like talking about, like how it was working, how I was like taking it in, like
Well, because
as
I mean,
like
you know
interpreting it.
you mentioned synchronicity, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it really clicks for you. Like you'll have something in your head, and then let's say you get a knock at the door and it's like some like your niece or something, and like she's like, okay, like just said something childish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you interpret it as like a message from like it, like it's no longer like you realize that everyone kind of has their own like way of talking. It's weird once you click into like the actual I don't know, it's like a it's they call it a delusion, but like the way you can get yourself there is definitely very real. Like
But the thing that intrigues me the most is the amount of detail you're able to describe during this 1 minute experience that you had, where I mean, people will sit down, or not sit down, lie down and sleep and have a dream and only remember bits and pieces of it. And that's like a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour
yeah,
experience where you have this flash, as you put it, or whatever, and you just have this tidal wave of details.
yeah.
And I find that amazing. That I
Well,
find that really intriguing. It's
that's
like,
the frustrating part about it too. It's
hmm.
like I'm not an artist. Like I most of that stuff, I felt like I if I could have captured it, you know,
but
because it fades away like a dream too.
But you don't need to
And
be you don't need to be an artist though, man. You just fucking get a pen, pad,
exactly.
whatever, and just write what you experience, man. I mean, that's what I do. I'm not an artist. I mean, I'm not a musician or anything like that. I don't write songs, but I mean, that's what I do. If I have something that is, I don't want to say life altering, but I mean something that just seems so important, I'll write it down. Hey, Bixie, how are you? I'll write it down, man, because that what you described is just it's fascinating.
Yeah,
It's just very very different, and you don't hear a lot of people articulate it the way you did.
yeah,
You know, I mean, most people, I slept last night for a couple hours. I had this fucking really screwed up dream, and they oh yeah, what was the dream about? Oh shit, I can't remember. you know, it's
yeah.
like, oh, but how do you know it was screwed up? Because I do. You know, but here you're saying you have this experience. I mean, do you think it has something to do with maybe maybe uh entering some sort of
I think
other frequency, perhaps?
I
You're
think it's a like I don't know, man. All I know is it's powerful. If you
Mm,
have nothing, it would be powerful because I mean, you can imagine. I could imagine it could spark a lot of things
mhm,
like controversy because I felt like when I got done with it, like when I woke up,
mhm,
I felt like I had to write it down. I didn't just have this experience and be like, "What the heck, dude?" Like I didn't
mhm.
just throw it off my shoulder. I saw something. I met something. It talked to me. Like
Now,
I I had to write it down and I had to share it, you know?
so
Literally.
that's interesting. So that's interesting. You feel that you met something.
Yeah.
And if somebody was to ask you, okay, can you describe what that something was? What do you think you met?
It was like um It was like, well, when I saw its form, like it was on fire and there was like women and children inside,
Yeah, you were
and
saying
like,
that. Yeah, yeah.
but it was almost like a pearl, and like
Wow.
almost
Okay.
like when I first got up to it, it was like perfect, you know. But
Hmm.
as I interacted and polarized around it, it rippled, and that's what like caused like the interaction into it. It's like I
And I mean, you were saying earlier that you felt that if you sort of conveyed it or you shared it or you wrote it down or whatever, that it might not be a good thing. It might not be good. And what sense do you mean that it might not be good? Do you figure that what was said to you or what was shown to you is only for you, and if you share it, something might come down on you? What do you mean
I
by that?
don't know if it was only for me. I really don't think many people would survive it, honestly, just the way my body, if they were able to
Yeah.
do exactly how, like, but like just the fact that if you were able to do that, if you were able to, like, there's a lot of reasons I have that I've created, but like, I just thought, like, I don't know what I thought,
Mhm.
like, why I was like hesitant to like share it and say it's scary because then I realized there's just so much scary stuff in the world now. That's
Yeah.
nothing.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
probably something scary back in the day, like, oh, this guy's a witch, like, but like now it's like I don't know, like, but if you could harness that, I imagine it would be a lot more scary than you think. Like being
Mhm.
able to show someone something that that powerful, and then especially have something to explain what it is, even if
Mhm.
it is false. Like
Mhm.
I could imagine that could be scary. That's just like something I came up with, but like, and I do think the way you said it, like it could be something maybe only I have experienced, and maybe they can pick me out somehow of reality. Like maybe I'm like
Maybe you're some sort of beacon.
beacon,
Maybe,
and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, we got him. We
Yeah,
got another one."
we found him, man. We found him. Let's give him the message.
Yeah, I like. There's always that, but then like if you
Like
it,
how
I don't
long
like
ago
to
did this
believe in
happen?
like a delusions like that. It happened a long time ago.
Oh,
It happened like probably when I was early 20s. So like I'm like it's probably like 7 years ago, dude.
wow. So I'll ask you again. How do you figure it has changed your life? Has it changed your life in any way at all since that experience? Like, I mean, are you sitting there and going, oh, fuck, I hope I don't have that again? Or, oh, I do hope I have that again. I want to know more. Like, like, because obviously it resonates with you because it's something very unusual to happen to anyone. So, I mean, obviously it resonates with you, but I mean, like,
I If I could do it again, I would with no side effects. But like if it were to happen the same way, I don't know. Just because of how like it just like screwed my body up,
yeah.
like my heart. I was in sweats,
Hmm.
puking and stuff. But like uh that was like after, like I was like way sick after because I was just in sweats. Like my
Yeah.
body was just pumping heat. I don't know how I was sweating so much, but uh I could be lack okay, so lack of oxygen and delusions, that's a common thing that
Hmm.
happens. People meet these things,
Hmm.
but it still doesn't explain the thing. It's like what it's like you can't just call something a name and be like that's what it is.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a proper way of explaining it, and there's a proper terminology. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, trying to understand exactly what happened there is just wow.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and like how do you think stuff like that is responsible for religion, or do you think religion is a combatant of stuff like that?
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Religion to me is, well, I'm not going to say organized religion. Organized religion will just shove to the side. Religion in itself, I do believe that there's some sort of part of what has been handed down was handed down for a reason. Obviously, it doesn't make
That
sense that it's there and it doesn't mean something. It has to mean something, but what does it mean? Obviously, people who buy into it will tell you, well, this is what it means. But we have to deal with so many. I mean, language. How many times has the we'll say the Bible been translated and altered, you know, to modernize the language,
right.
in English and everything. So have things been lost in translation? Have things been lost because of the slang of the day? Like, I mean, you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, and how they depict everyday life at the time of Jesus, pretty much, and beforehand. And basically, what is it? They depict this guy as just an ordinary person. Explain, oh well, the reason why he's walking on the water is not because he's really walking on the water. It's only because he he walked on a dock that was only for holy men. He defied, religion, I guess, at the time. I don't know, whatever. There's so many different explanations. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
Is that, do you think maybe he walked inside of like some area that they don't like, people can't go, like maybe maybe he was like an astral, like, or what do you call it, like when you can like access your I don't know, like
well,
you're confused, like
th-
like when you wake up from a dream and you can't
no, I
comprehend it.
I, I get you, but I mean, to me, I really don't think he was, as he's depicted in, the Bible, if you will, or whatever.
I'm ill educated on it all, really. I mean, I kind of thought ignorance is bliss for the longest, but really I've learned a lot that I'm trying to express.
Mhm.
So like, I don't know, I really have to, start stepping into these readings.
Well, I look at it this way. I mean, I when I was a kid, I think I was only 13. I was confirmed in the United Church, and I sit back and go, "Holy fuck, wow! I can't believe I did that." Because I'll tell you right now, I don't necessarily believe in religion. I don't. Um, Not to say that uh, I don't believe that there is some sort of structure, if you will. I mean, we got to look at, because I mean, it's like a lot of things. It's man made. It's fallible. You
Yeah,
know, it's fallible, and I mean, what they're preaching today, is it the same thing they were preaching like thousands of years ago? Probably not. It's like a business now.
it
It's
would be
it's organized.
interesting though if they keep it like something going, if they were to create, like, because religion, like some of them are based around changing the human to its perfect form, aren't isn't it?
Yeah, well,
To
yeah. I
evolve
mean,
humans out,
but I mean
so
that those are
it'd be,
called cults, though.
are they?
Pretty much. I mean, if you
Okay, I didn't
pretty
know
much,
that.
pretty much. I mean, if you defy, any of the well structured or organized religions now, it's like you're a fucking cult. And you know what? Because I mean, I'll be honest. I think a lot of these organized religions have lost their true faith. They really have, and it's look at to survive.
Because they have
Uh,
to, yeah.
they have to survive, and in order to survive, they need to do what it takes to survive. I mean, I see a lot of churches, a lot here in North America. I see a lot of churches fucking dying. A lot of Catholic, Methodist, Christian. I see a lot of them dying. I see them by the wayside. I see them abandoned. I see them turned into homes,
Businesses and stuff that'll be
businesses, and
turned into
everything
theaters.
else, because people now, especially here in North America, there are so many people now that don't identify with having a particular religion anymore.
Yeah,
You
it's just
know,
like whatever. It's
you
like
know.
politics to them. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, and again, it's they view most people. I mean, well, you look at the Catholic Church and the fucking shit that they've gone through, and what they've tried to not necessarily cover up, but to repair the damage that's been done. I don't think you're ever going to repair that. There's never going to be that trust anymore with the public, with what's happened, especially here in Canada with the native children. You know,
Yeah.
hundreds of them found in unmarked graves.
Yeah, I did hear about that, but I didn't look into that.
Yeah. So I
That's
mean,
that's crazy. Hundreds of.
you know how are you going to build that trust up again? You're not. You literally have buried yourself. And I don't know. I to me, I just think if you're bound by a religion, you're bound and you're stuck and you're lost. You have tunnel vision.
Yeah. I
Um,
could see that. Yeah. I see
you
that actually because if I tell anyone about my experience, if you were to be real, like let's say any like many religions, if you were any of them really, you would see me as like sharing that experience as a negative, guarantee it, because
well,
I
yeah,
shared that to churches and stuff and they tell me that I need help, right? So
you've been possessed, boy.
you've been possessed, right?
Yeah,
Straight
yeah.
up. So I mean that's combative right there to
Hmm.
me, like that's like saying like something that happened to me is not supposed to happen, like or not it's not normal.
I've dealt with a lot of people that have written or called me or emailed me, whatever, and said, look, I've got some demonic activity in my home. Can you come take a look at it? You show up and you take a look at this, and you go, there's nothing demonic here at all. There's nothing demonic. Absolutely nothing. And they sit there and go, but how can you say that? Because I'm telling you, what you're experiencing is not demonic. What you're experiencing is like, I'm not going to say 9 out of 10 times, but what you're experiencing in some cases is, you know, not obviously not your experience, Iowax. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about some of the people that have
Yeah, I don't
approached.
know. I hope mine aren't
No,
demonic.
no, 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 no. Are bipolar or multiple personalities or whatever. There's all sorts of drugs, booze, alcoholism. There's all sorts of shit that play major factors into this shit.
Yeah, definitely.
And they need help, all right. And then when you try to give them the proper help, they're just like they don't want anything to do with it. But I mean, I'm trying to explain to you, this is not demonic, you know. But yeah, but I mean, what happened to you is definitely pretty intriguing. I don't think I've heard that before ever.
um
Maybe something similar, but not quite.
yeah, I did go to the hospital for it. I could probably track it down to when exactly it happened,
Mm,
literally, if I wanted to, because I went to straight to the ER afterwards, because I thought because it was still hitting me in waves, like my heart, like it was still kind of like wavy,
mm,
and yeah. But when I started, let's say, entertaining the delusion, it really wasn't good. Like
mm,
I wouldn't call it I don't like calling it a delusion, but like really like feeding into belief on things like running one way really screwed me up. Like once you see someone as a evil entity and like
mm.
you can see it in their face that they're evil and they're speaking and they're channeling and like synchronicities are happening, you know you're going in the wrong path, especially if when you start to not recognize yourself, like because I remember uh I was on some type of thing that made me level out, and then I just quit it because like I was like kind of savage at the point,
Hmm.
you know, and it caused me to be so bad that I just couldn't stop. Like like my emotions were flying through the charts, and like I was scared that I wasn't gonna like be myself to the point where like I would like do something because I was in like staying in hotels all over. So
Hmm.
hotels, you're always have access to like windows or balconies. So I was scared like that I would like wake up from a dream and still be in a dream and sleepwalk off of the balcony or something, and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. I was just terrified of that.
I think a lot of people are like that. That can get into that state where they have a trouble understanding if they're still in a dream. I mean, I know once or twice when I've awoken from a sleep and I'm like, am I awake? I'm not awake.
Yeah.
I'm still in there. I'm still sleeping. I'm still in the dream. And it's like when you wake up, you're like, holy fuck. And you're so drained because it's so traumatic. People don't
But
understand how traumatic and how much energy it just zaps out of your fucking being.
what do you call it? I'm really stable now. Like my energy
Mm.
isn't too bad. Like I don't think I can get out bad, but like I do gotta go here. But like I will say, I'm gonna say this. It's so creepy, man. I have a curtain right here, right? This little
Yep.
green screen. I was sleeping right, and I woke up, and my guitar, which is sitting, my guitars were all sitting. They're all sitting over here, right?
Hmm.
And the main guitar, the acoustic, was playing itself when I woke up, and it was playing itself so good that like it was just like a like it was better than like it was playing finger style, like
Hmm.
it was each note was singly plucked like just through a whole scale, just
Yeah.
going up and down. And like I'm like freaking like kind of like still dazed, so I'm not freaking like I'm like I don't know, this kind of just recently happened. So I get through the curtain, and I get that feeling, when you lose something,
Hmm.
and it stops.
Wow.
And
So
that was probably the trippiest thing I can account for in my dream recently.
so how did you feel when you woke up from this? I mean, like, did you feel drained? Like, I mean, how did you feel?
I
Do you
felt,
remember?
yeah, I do remember. I felt it was foggy, kind of like ah, it's foggy, but like it was like it's like you're losing.
Yeah.
It's like you're losing something for sure. Like
You almost want to say like a piece of yourself.
yeah,
You're almost like losing like a part of your essence, if you will. It's like somebody's stealing a part of your essence, and
yeah.
they're using it
Like
against
if
you.
you sprayed some Axe body spray on you and
Yeah.
then ran, and you would
Yeah.
see like
You
on the
spread the
quantum realm,
smell.
yeah, you're spreading it around as you're walking.
My God, that guy's got cheap cologne on.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
dreams are weird, man. Uh, I mean, I've had a dream of a lot of infinities, like we're
Now, when you say infinity, you mean like endless, like we're
like
looping,
endless,
just
and
loop.
like when you know it's endless, you wake
Mm-hmm.
up every time. Like at least me,
Mm-hmm.
because it just snaps you straight out of it. Because like I don't know if you realize it's endless more than how vast it is, and you just can't comprehend it, and it just blasts you awake. But like when I chased, I kind of gave a couple dream characters like super Marvel or Marvel superhero.
Mm,
I call this guy like the Blur because
yeah.
the middle. Imagine five people, each layer. Imagine seven. The
Mhm.
middle
Yeah.
is the very middle of the seven, and then there's six, and the three going each, three in front of him, three on the other side. So he's solid. That's a person, right? You can tell that's a person. But the other ones extending in front of him, each one as you go is slightly less detailed. So you can tell after a couple times after chasing him, which I
Mhm.
don't know why I'm chasing him because I'm in a dream. I don't know. I'm just chasing this guy. And
You're getting your exercise.
I'm getting my dream exercise. I'm chasing him. Uh, so like he like merged. He like merged into one, and then took off running when I saw him. Like he was like trying to blend in or
Mhm.
something. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's his resting state or something. And then like took off running down the road, and then the road took a left and dipped down. You know, kind of
Mhm.
like a step down.
Yeah.
And then I crash, and then I wake up and I see him again, and he's doing the same walk, the same blur, and then I spot him again, and he turns into one character again, and takes off this time over the wall. Instead of going all the way down the street and taking a left, he just jumps straight over the wall. So somehow I'm able to jump over the wall, going straight through the air,
Mm. Oh,
like a
wow.
missile, into blackness. And there's just a snake road that disappears. It goes down so far it disappears.
So you got blackness, and then but you see this snake road, and it just disappears what into the blackness.
Yeah, it's just going down the the road just keeps going and going and going and rendering. So like I was chasing him for a while, and then I
Mhm.
realized that like I couldn't catch him because I had physics. Like
That's interesting because I mean most people wouldn't even think about it. Well, I have physics, but yeah, that's interesting.
yeah, it
But
was
okay,
really
so explain that. Well, you have physics. You had physics. What do you mean by that?
like I jump over the wall, and
Hmm.
I was in a car. Okay,
Okay.
so that's why I didn't tell you in the beginning because you're like, oh, he's in a car and he jumped over the wall. So I was able to jump over the wall in a car
Yeah.
first. I mean that's probably kind of unrealistic, but the car like fell. Like it's like I
It just
had
dropped.
it dropped, and then I was still going. It was like almost like a video game I played where like the physics were there, but like I was still like bouncing and going where I wanted to go,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just going kind of at an inconvenient pace compared to what he was doing, which was just shooting straight into the darkness.
Hmm. That's
So
interesting.
I turned back, and as I turned back, I woke up,
Okay.
kind of thing.
And again, when you woke up, you were feeling drained, or
I can't remember that one.
you can't remember
That
that
one,
one.
yeah, I can't remember that one at all. I wouldn't be able to remember that one.
So when you dream, and when you get into these states, is it always so vivid? Is it always so
No,
detailed, or no?
no, like a lot of them are they wash away. Like I had one. It was like tag. I only thing I can. It was like some sort of combative tag system, but it was like some kind of like like I'm just gonna call it like a spirit. Like literally, like you were like transferring something to someone else, and then they were moving somewhere else, and then like it would like even the odds, and then like it was like weird stuff like that you can't really tell you what's going on in there because there's really it just doesn't make sense in this reality what's going on. But like once you start writing it down, which I got a journal, but like I literally have two things wrote in it, and like it's so hard to get into that habit, and I think it might be causing me not to dream once I'm thinking about writing them down.
Well, yeah, because I mean, again, you're putting a notion in your thinking pattern. Look, I'm gonna have to write this down. I got to write this down. I got to, and just like don't even think about it. I mean, don't even put it in your consciousness.
Well,
I find that yeah, exactly. I know how you feel there, and it's like anything when a thought creeps into your brain before you go to sleep or even while you're sleeping, you kind of wake up or something, you got to go to the washroom or whatever, and you go lie back down, and this thought creeps into your mind, you're like, fuck, and it just plays with your head. It's like the same thing with, oh, well, I got to write this down, and you're like, oh fuck, what's the point? I'm not gonna
is there a
not.
way, do you think, to, because I've reminded myself of dreams like before, like I've had things that triggered me to remember a dream.
You know
So do
what
you
I
think they'll ever have an app out there that will be
You don't
like
need an app. You don't need an app. The one of the best things I find to do if you want to get into like a state where you're not necessarily you're relaxed, but not beyond well, I'm not too relaxed, but I mean you're mentally relaxed. And when you go into when you fall asleep, you're in this kind of state where you're kind of recording, your brain's recording, and you're kind of conscious, if you will. I find meditating.
yeah,
I find meditating before you go to bed. If you can get your body to a certain state before you go to bed, it just it's amazing what you can do when you sleep.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, in terms of dreaming, and people use it for astral projection, and all that kind of fucking shit, right? I mean, it's amazing what meditation will do.
yeah,
I don't
for
know if you
sure.
have you ever tried it.
I mean, I juggle.
Yeah, you juggle. Well, yeah, there you go, there's a form.
It's a form, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it until I mean, I just juggled, but then I figured out it's a form of physical meditation.
Yeah, it is, because you're mentally recognizing a series of actions, and obviously you're fucking expanding your brain muscles, but I
Sure.
mean, meditating um before you go to bed obviously is a little less of a active sort of thing, but you want to calm down your body.
Yeah,
You want to get your heart rate to a certain state, right?
for
And
sure.
you're breathing, controlling your breathing and controlling your heart rate.
Dude,
And
it could probably cure a lot of things in the world right now if
it,
they had like a timeout at night, like Adult Swim, like you know how it comes on Cartoon Network, and like they're
yeah.
like, all right, all the phones shut off. It's like what?
Well, I
That
mean,
would be
yeah,
messed
I
up,
mean,
but
it's a given. Like, I mean, phones are fucking the worst things. I mean, they don't get me wrong; they're a wonderful invention, and they do a lot of good, but they do a lot of bad too.
yeah,
And what comes with the good comes with the bad. The bad comes with it too. But yeah, I mean, when I wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, I refuse to look at my phone. I won't look at my phone, because I know if I look at my phone, then my thought now is running with what I saw, what I looked at on my phone. It's like a bad echo. I don't know if you have you ever had that state while you're sleeping where there's something continuously happening, and it's so aggravating, and you're like, it's like a bad loop,
yeah,
and
like something getting. I've had repetitive dreams where people like steal.
yeah, and you just can't get rid of it, and it just drives you to the point where it wakes you up,
Yeah,
and you're like, fuck. And then when you wait, you get up, you got to do what you do, you got to go to the washroom, whatever, and then you go back to bed, and you're like, hopefully I don't fall back into that bad loop. Like, most of the
yeah,
time you don't.
repetitive dreams.
Yeah,
Repetitive
repetitive
dreams.
repetitive dreams are the worst. Like, I mean, constantly pounding you, constantly. It's the same thing. You know, something might unfold, but yet the ending of that foldation, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. And you're like, what? You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, I've had a scary dream when I was a kid that was repetitive, where I was on a graded platform with
Mm.
railings,
Yeah.
and it was just blackness everywhere.
Hmm.
And like I could move one direction or the other,
Yeah.
and I could hear a girl that was calling for me.
Hmm.
So I would run towards the voice because they were like in distress or whatever, and I would just keep running. And the harder I ran, the further the voice got away until I woke up. You know,
Yeah.
and it happened for the longest time. The
Wow.
longest time.
It kept happening.
Yeah, it happened
Oh man, that's
for
that's torture.
a long time.
That's torture. I mean, me, I've only had it happen every once in a while, but
Oh, this happened for like a years actually.
wow.
I think it happened for years. Like as a kid, you don't really think, you probably just think
No.
that's kind of normal, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're a
Like I
kid,
just had another.
you still have those filters.
Yeah,
When you're a kid, you're like, things that don't stress you won't stress you, and you have these filters that have been instilled
for sure,
in you since birth, and everything is like, once you go to bed, there's nothing that's gonna fucking harm you or bother you, or you don't have to worry about money, you don't have to worry about fucking health, you don't have to worry about this for the most part, right, when you're a kid. So I mean these are things that fucking bother you. Responsibility, when you get older, responsibility becomes a fucking nag.
yeah,
And it wreaks havoc on your sleep, because I mean, you may not be thinking about any particular thing, but when you fall asleep, it's just like pounding you in the side of the head, front, left, and center, going, "Oh, I gotta pay this bill." And then you wake up, you're like, "Fuck, I gotta pay this
it's
bill."
like if we're
How are
a
you gonna do it in the middle
computer.
of the night? Who gives a shit?
It's like if we're a computer, it's like it would be taking up cloud space or running your
Yeah,
GPU or whatever
yeah,
in the background.
exactly. It's like, fuck, you're wasting all my fucking energy.
Yeah,
you know what the hell, man? How do I shut this off? And it,
I think repetition is key. Repetition probably is key to. I notice like if I keep myself positive,
Mhm.
like just even if I'm in a negative mood, like I just kind of like have a positive feeling, and
Yeah.
like you can kind of like change, keep it up, and it'll make you feel better.
Hmm.
You'll be less like negative, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a simple one, but
I think if anything, I think one of the keys, you say repetitiveness, but I mean, I think the key, one of the major things you have to understand is your boundaries,
uh,
right? You have boundaries, but and these are boundaries that life or society has sort of instilled. If you can break those boundaries and go beyond them, at first you're going to be weary and afraid, and because it's the unknown. But once you start, experiencing beyond those boundaries, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I don't have anything holding me back. I don't need anything to hold me back. This is amazing. It's like free falling in the sky and not needing a parachute or anything like that, and you're going to land safely.
yeah,
It's like just falling, and there's nothing but air all around you, and you're like, you don't have a worry in the world.
for sure.
you know
I think that's good, but not like I don't believe in it for like development. I do
Mm.
believe in like okay, I don't want to even get too far. I do have to go here soon.
That's fine. We're gonna end this pretty soon anyways,
Yeah,
but
I want to. What was I saying? Um, like if you water a plant, it's gonna grow good, right? But then they
mhm.
got the like you were talking about that the British Columbia, is that, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
they're doing a little bit more in the watering those plants over there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot more going on with just the plants themselves. I'll tell you that. I don't. I maybe not so much anymore, but I mean back then they're definitely doing a little bit more with them. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I'll end it on that thought. I gotta go.
All right,
Um,
man. Take care. Be well, buddy.
yeah, yeah. You too, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Take care, man. Great talk there with Iowalks. I want to thank you for popping in. And everybody else. Sue and Barry and Simon's good to see you, man. Urbexy and earlier, I don't know. Let me just say, and Lucy, of course, and Joe. Joe, if you're still listening, good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. We have to have you back on the show soon. Uh, a lot of you guys who remember Gareth and the Mindset podcast will remember Joe. Um, so yeah, go check out his YouTube channel, Florida Trailblazer. Check him out. Yeah. Um, go for a couple more minutes and then we're gonna end this. But yeah, it's. I mean, what is it? It's what 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in the morning in the UK. Yeah, it's coming up to 4 o'clock in the UK, I believe. It's 10:58 here. On the East Coast, it's or sorry, on the West Coast, it is coming up to 7 o'clock p.m. East Pacific time. But yeah, absolutely, Simon. I think of Gareth all the time. It's a constant thought in my head. He is a constant thought in my process daily. Um, and of course, it's getting close to that time of the year when I think we need to pay tribute to him because, when he passed away, you know, uh, wow, it's hard to believe it's what 2 years now, 2 years, I think it's 2 years now, 2 years, something like it's fucking it's crazy, man. And like I said, what really made me think is when I went down to Vegas earlier um in the year, a few weeks back. We had planned to meet up. I told him he was an amazing person, Sue, definitely. We were going to meet up. We were going to do the Area 51 thing and just hang out, drink some 805 and just hang out. You know, unfortunately, it didn't happen. Um, but hey, I'm happy that I got to know Gareth over the years. You know, uh, amazing person as Sue mentions in chat. Uh, super knowledgeable, very engaging, um, and there's so much I could say, and that hasn't been that we haven't already said, but of course I'm sure we will pay tribute as the time gets closer to Gareth. I mean, it's all about keeping him in our hearts and minds, and keeping him alive with us all, and giving people who may not know Gareth, uh, giving Gareth a new audience, if you will, because his stuff is still available on his YouTube channel here on YouTube. Uh, Mindset Podcast, the Mindset Podcast. Um, our season 16 kicks off in September, and talking about the Mindset Podcast. Well, Paratalk, our good friend Reeves Cook, is going to be kicking off season 16 with us. Looking forward to it. Always great having Reeves on. If you've not been listening to Reeves Paratalk episodes, you're crazy. What are you fucking waiting for? Get over there and listen to them. He just did one on the back rooms. Excellent episode. Short, but fucking excellent. And it's a topic that I've loved for a long time. And not a lot of people know anything about the backyards. Sorry, the back rooms. So check it out. Paratalk podcast with Reeves Cook. Yeah. So in saying that, and again, the very first Nocturnal gathering will be happening October 21st, Saturday, October 21st. Time and location will be announced hopefully in the next couple weeks. Those of you who can come out and join us, we would love to have you out. We'd love to meet you in person. I think that would be great. This is something that Gareth told us we should do because he did the mindset meetups, which were really cool. I would have loved to gone out to those, but couldn't. But Gareth said he was going to come out, when we set something up. But I'm sure we'll have it in tribute to our buddy Gareth. He'll be there in spirit for sure. But and until the next time we do our Rogue Live, I want to thank you all guys for tuning in and coming in to chat, and Iowalks for your very intriguing story about your experiences with your the Flash experience. The detail was just incredible, and of course the dreams and experiences and so on and so on. Buddy, you're always welcome here. Always welcome to have you here. So you're all welcome. You know that, guys. You're all welcome here. You know that. Until the next time, guys, be well, be safe, and have a great summer. Take care, everyone.